Hey, you. Come
Oh,
on, sit on down. You are sitting at the grown-ups table. Well, I'm not, but John is. I'm your host, Jesse Pimpinella, and as always, my partner in crime.
John Jacobs.
Thank you so much, and a happy Wednesday to you. Where am I right now? Well, while everybody's having happy hour, I'm stuck in rush hour. But don't worry, guys. We got a great show that's coming up. I just turned 30 last Tuesday, and it is fucking phenomenal. I'm enjoying it. We're going to talk about turning 30. John's going to give me some advice. You know, he's a decade plus 2 over 30. And we also have an incredible special guest. John, would you love to intro him?
I would. Sorry, I was.
No, you're okay. You're okay. I'll take over the talking after.
Anyways, we have a special guest back to the show. I think it's probably been over a year?
Over a year easily.
Since we've had him, and we love him as a guest. He enjoys the show, so I thought this would be great because he also just recently turned 30. So, without further ado, let's bring up the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Chris Skaggs, everybody. Woo!
Chris Skaggs, everyone. Yes. Chris, how you doing, man?
Way too many adjectives describing me.
I mean, that's what I do, man.
I prefer chubby, melancholy. Give me some more attainable adjectives.
Oh, I love that one of your adjectives is melancholy.
Melancholy.
Well, I'm 30, so how else am I supposed to feel?
But do we have to now? But do we have to be melancholy for our 30s, man? I think, Chris, we can rage into our 30s.
You know what? I started off my 30s by raging pretty hard, and boy, hangovers hit in your 30s way harder. It's like that day comes and the calendar flips, and all of a sudden, boom, on your ass.
I do feel that. I feel tired more often. Like I feel like my TV shows have become stories. I do feel like that. Like, dude, like I don't know about you, man. Did you just start putting like a blanket on your lap?
I was sitting today with 2 blankets on me, and I was like, what am I doing?
Yes. I call it the polio blanket. I love the polio blanket. It's so wonderful.
I thought we were calling it the FDR blanket. Like
FDR blanket. Yeah, either or.
Polio blanket, AIDS blanket,
yeah,
FDR
polio
blanket.
AIDS blanket, Mr. Lebowski blanket.
Mr. Lebowski blanket.
when he was pretending to be upset about Bunny being gone, he was in the West Wing at the fire, the opera's playing in the background.
Yeah. I mean, I just but for me, I'm excited to be 30, honest to God, because I feel like I'm only good at being 30. Because 20s, I didn't party, I didn't rage, I didn't do anything. I was okay. I'll give you an example one time. All right. So my one buddy, when he was single, he was like, we got to go to the food hall tonight. Now, you guys from Columbus know what food hall is. I was still new. So I'm thinking, about time. You always like to work out. I like to fucking eat. 1 o'clock in the morning, let's go get some fucking food. And let me tell you something. I was pissed. This place, it was a giant restaurant that turns into a nightclub in the middle of the night. So it's like a mall food court that turns into a nightclub in the middle of the night. I was not happy. I'm like, dude, I wanted waffles. I wanted eggs, bacon. I wanted a cup of coffee, all right? I wanted to possibly to watch a fight in the middle of Waffle House, all right? Because, screw pay-per-view. You want to see a good fight, you go to Waffle House, okay?
I mean, we got the viral video of that chick, doing Neo and just totally blocking that chair. After she just knocked out, 2 people, she blocked that chair, and then she's still ready to keep going, man.
Dude, bullet time is real, and she proved it, all right? I've never thought a Waffle House woman would show me that bullet time is real. So I don't want to hear any bullshit that any of that isn't real. Nah, I saw it. It's real. It's on camera. End of story. No discussion. Anyways.
Well, so I have a question real quick.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but I have to know this. So when you were at food hall and you were expecting food and you got there and it was a dance party, were you the guy that was just awkwardly standing on the dance floor like this while everybody else is getting down? You're just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
Yes. I did not want to be there. I was so pissed. My buddy, he wanted to get laid. And the worst part, here's the worst part. I tried to leave, and I couldn't leave without making a scene. And I did my best. So what happened was I was trying to leave, but this girl kept eyeing me the entire time. Now, granted, I was happily in a beautiful relationship with my wife, Sarah, but now we were in a relationship at the time. We weren't married. But anyways, so I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm trying to get away from her. She keeps doing like the forward robot towards me. It was fucking weird. She's like, hey, what's up, big boy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so then what happened was she got to the point where her butt was pointed at me.
Oh.
Like she looked like she was gonna try to sit on me. Right? Like she was backing it into me. And because I'm faithful, as soon as she threw her whole trusting weight into my front end, and I swept out from under her, and she hit the ground so hard.
Oh, dude. Well, there went that chance.
Yep. Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? My body, my choice. All right. My body, my choice. Okay. I wasn't open to it. All right. I wasn't open at all. I wanted to relax. I wanted to be faithful. I wanted to have bacon and eggs at a Waffle House. I wanted to get into a fight, maybe. Who knows? All right.
Maybe. So I have a question. So you said you were already married to Sarah when this happened, correct?
No. I was dating her. Sorry, I was dating her.
I was going to be like, dude, that was like less than 3 years ago. You're telling a recent story. Now it makes better sense.
Yes, sorry, my bad. But anyways. So anyways, that chick fell. I got out of there. I got me some bacon and eggs. My friend was embarrassed.
Oh, I got out of there.
That's a bold move from her, going at it with that much gusto off the bat. I mean, best case scenario, she's bruising your wiener.
Yeah.
Yeah, she literally looked at me like, probably like, oh, this guy fucking doesn't get laid. He looks like a Cabbage Patch doll. He'd be so lucky to have this ass. And little did she know, I have great ass. And I slipped out from under her. I fucking slipped her like Muhammad Ali. I was like, whoo! Like she went right to the ground. Like,
well, I'm just impressed with the confidence level that not only she expected you to thrust back, thus hitting together and thrusting at the same time, but then she also just like trusted that, yeah, I'm into this. And you were like, nope. And you moved and bam, hit the ground.
Dude, I slipped it. I went right out. She fell. I got out of there. Everybody looked at me like the piece of shit that I was. And I ruined. This girl probably did her best to dress up. She was in makeup. She worked really hard.
Yeah.
She probably got done doing a test at OSU, like probably a medical test. And she's probably like, I'm going to get some P for this V. And then I slip out under her. And then she looks like the drunk girl that fell at a nightclub. So I ruined it.
You did for her self-esteem, because I guarantee you that not only ruined her evening, but then the group of people she was with ruined their evening, because they had to spend the whole evening trying to cheer her up. And I guarantee you she went back and TikToked about it. We need to find that TikTok, because
we need to
say about it.
Hashtag try to describe me with a hashtag. Maybe like hashtag obese Steve Carell. Maybe we might find me. Like, I'm thinking she might have had a name for me. Like, but
I mean, you kind of look like the Penguin, so we could just go with that. Like, you put a little in your mouth, like you kind of got the Penguin face.
I think I got it.
You're
got
just
the nose,
the flipper. Yeah, you're just missing the flipper, man.
She wanted the flipper trick. She wanted the flipper trick.
Okay.
But that was my moment. For me, that was my moment. I realized that I couldn't be 20 anymore, and I was 27 at the time. I realized I just couldn't be 20 anymore. I was done.
That's interesting. So you were 27, but you had an epiphany that you couldn't be 20 anymore. So what made you think you could just jump 3 years of the age gap and be 30? Like, was that really your catalyst? And like, you know what? I'm only 27, but this event now has me at 30, but I'm only 27. Like, was that the moment that you turned 30 in your mind, or was there something else?
100%. No. I feel like everything added up to that moment, because all my friends
built up to that moment.
No, yeah, that was my because at that point, all my comedian friends, most of them are 20 years older than me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So so most of the time I didn't hang out with people my age. You know what I mean? Like I hung out in John, you know what I'm talking about. I hung out in the garage drinking with my friends, because that's what they did, because they had wives and kids. Yeah. I didn't grow up drinking in the parking lot. I drank in the garage, and I love the garage. I appreciate the garage. The garage is a sacred place.
Dude, you've been to my garage many times. You know
It's
how
a wonderful
fantastic my
garage.
is.
You have memorabilia in your garage.
I do.
And like, you know what? One of the most touching moments is you have the Maverick popcorn tin I bought you. Yeah. And my heart warmed up. I was like, oh my God. I remember we went to go see Maverick. It was a great time.
It was. Now, I will tell you, I'm getting ready to figure out a shelving situation in my home office. I'm pointing at this wall that nobody can see. This is the longest wall in my office. I'm going to put a poster up here over the TV and over the casting couch. But above the long wall over here, I'm going to put shelves up for all my collectibles and shit. And you better believe the Top Gun tin is then going to find its permanent spot on that collectible shelf.
That's what I want to know. That's I like that. I like that
moment, man. Like not only did you and I have that moment, but we shared that moment with other dudes in the audience, man. It was like a real thing. Like it was. Every dude in that theater let their guard down and just like hugged other dudes at the end of that movie. Like, it was just like it was
Tom Cruise,
dude. It was that impactful, man. It really, truly was.
Dude, Tom Cruise opened us up to some dude man love that night. Okay, like
Tom
dude,
Cruise opened up a lot of men that evening.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. Total stranger. Like we bonded. Like Jesse held hands with the guy.
I held no joke. The seat. No, I held hands with this guy, and I'm mad I didn't get his name. I swear to God, I'm not fucking lying. This isn't for comedy. This is real. Okay,
really
I'll tell you exactly what was happening. All right. Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen Maverick, I'm sorry. You should have seen it. It was one of the best movies of last year.
It's been out long enough. Say what you want to say.
So Maverick is shot down. Then Goose's son is shot down. And they're just navigating themselves in a non-country specific area because they never tell you what country it is because you got to make money in all the regions. And you got to make the money. And you're like, oh my God. So then they get into the old MiG and it's outdated, but you feel good because Tom Cruise is in it. And they're flying and they have a dogfight. They're outmanned. They're outgunned. They're out everything. And there's a scene where they're flying up and they realize they can't eject, they can't do nothing, they're fucked, and they're about to get shot down. And this guy and I were holding hands. We were like, Tom Cruise is not dying tonight. The power of Scientology is going to keep him alive. All right, that crazy sick son of a bitch. And we were holding each other, and then all of a sudden, Hangman came out of nowhere, shot that motherfucker out of the sky.
Dude.
Hangman came for the clutch, and he saved everybody. And it was a great moment. And me and this man locked eyes. We were so fucking happy. We were so fucking because they kind of throughout that whole movie they made it sound like Tom Cruise was going to bite it. Did they not?
Many times you were like, "This is it. This is it. This is it.
This is it."
Oh look, Rooster sacrifices his plane to save him. Oh look, here comes fucking Glenn Powell out of left field blowing people up. Looks like
out of left field. Because it
Chicken.
because it's like I'm back.
He's back.
Because Tom Cruise lost Goose, and it would be so great if Tom Cruise died saving Goose's son. Like it would have been this full circle. It was like it was a good Hollywood story there.
I
would have been okay with that. They earned it.
Maverick might die, and I came to terms with it. I was like, I'm good with this.
How come Tom Cruise's name? Oh, sorry.
Let Chris talk.
What were you saying?
I was going to ask you guys, how come Tom Cruise's nickname of Maverick is so much cooler than all of the other nicknames everybody else? Goose, Rooster.
You don't think Bob was cool? You don't think Bob was cool? I thought it was fucking sweet.
Now, I will say John Hamm's character, his call sign was Cyclone, and that's a badass
That is pretty sweet.
But it's John Hamm. He had to have the best call sign. Like, it's the way it is.
Maverick, I think Maverick, his call sign describes who he is in a weird. He's that sort of boldness, that braveness. I mean, I don't know why everybody else had like a weird name. Like Iceman was a pretty cool one. I think Maverick And you don't think Iceman was cool? I thought Iceman was pretty cool.
Cold as ice. Well, no shit. His name's fucking Iceman, dude. It's like Mr. Freeze. Like, you don't have to say it. We get it.
Which, by the way, my buddy has a great joke about Mr. Freeze. And this goes out to Matt Stout. He's like, the one cool thing about Mr. Freeze is that he doesn't get all pissy when you call him Mister and he's a doctor.
He's the only doctor that is not upset that you didn't call him a doctor.
He never corrects anybody of that, which you gotta respect that a little bit, you know. Like he lets his work speak for itself. You know what I mean? He's not one of those title totalers. You know what I mean? He goes, look, you know who I am, you know what I do, you know. But anyways, back to Maverick.
Well, let's bring it back to the 30s, man.
Let's bring it back to the 30s.
Like Maverick tangent, 15 minutes.
Well, because you know, when you get older, you get sentimental, and I got sentimental with that guy. We held hands, all right, and I felt like
statement. Becoming just growing into yourself and understanding people and emotions and communication and interaction. Those things tend to heighten, obviously, as you get older. But there's definitely a definitive line, like once you cross over into your 20s and your 30s, and it usually starts in your late 20s. I mean, now look, I partied well. But then, you know, like I had back surgery and then I met my wife and then had a kid. So, you know, shit starts calming down. But Jesse told a great story about how going to the club at 27 turned him into a 30-year-old. That is a very interesting story. But I want to hear from Chris. So, Chris, did you feel 30, act 30, like your perception was you were 30 before you turned 30? Or were you already, like, do you feel like you're 25 still? Like, what is this for you? I really want to hear your story.
Let's hear it.
I currently feel like I'm 46.
Me too, man. Me too.
If this is supposed to be the peak of how good I feel, my God, I'm in for it.
Yep, sure are.
He's already got brochures to nursing homes already.
Like, oh, I got to make that urologist appointment here in a couple of days.
Kind of looking forward to the colonoscopy, though.
Hey!
Well, now we like a shit in a bag, so it's a lot easier. Most days, you don't even need the camera up the ass anymore, unless they find something in your shit. Then you got to go get the camera.
Well, color me disappointed.
Well, hey, you could probably talk to your doctor and be like, look, I've been looking forward to this my whole life, and I heard that people are shitting in bags now. I really want the camera, so let's make this happen.
I've been identifying as 45 since I was 30 for this reason.
Just so you could shit in a bag.
No, so we can get the camera up the ass. He wants the camera.
He wants the camera. All right, get the camera.
But to answer your question, we are masterful at getting sidetracked.
Anyways, back to Chris's 30s story, which is what we're hearing.
I had my daughter at age. I was not quite 29 yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was almost 29, and I had a stepson who I had met when I was 25, but he was already 8 years old. And so the potty training and the toddler tantrums and all those sort of things, I didn't have to deal with. Yeah. I got to meet a kid that I could sit down and play Minecraft with, and it was awesome. So I think for me, I felt like I grew up at almost 29 when I had my daughter, and I had to experience that, oh my God, something else is fully and wholly dependent on me. What am I supposed to do?
Yep.
I just love how your story did involve one person falling down and embarrassing themselves. Yours is like super beautiful.
Now I do have a question, and this is a personal question with a comedic spin, because that's obviously why we're here. So, I mean, Chris, you said that when you met your stepson, he was already 8 years old, and you were 25 years old. We're losing Jesse. He's coming back now, so we'll keep talking. Oh, there he is. He's back in his apartment. Hey, Jesse's home, and he didn't get in a car accident. All right. I'm surprised those dogs aren't going ape shit.
They're on mute.
Oh, there they are. There they are. Okay. So, Chris, the kid's 8. Okay. I learned about all this stuff at an extremely early age. We won't get into all the hows and the whys, but by the time I was 8, I pretty much already knew it all. So I'm just thinking, like, if I'm 8 and it's like me and my mom, and then this guy starts coming around, I know what he's doing to my mom. Did you have this experience when you met your stepson? Like, was he just like, look, man, got some rules to talk to you about in this house? You know, like, how did that go, man? I have to know.
Actually, at that time, I was still on the radio, so he thought I was cool.
Oh, there you go.
So I had an in.
There you go.
This guy's awesome. So I didn't have to deal with that part, but I'm sure that he knew. We had very thin walls in that first house. And I am a heavy breather.
Oh.
Well, man, that kid got to know. Oh man, that kid's like, Dad. He's like, yeah, you should like work out. You should work out a little bit instead of being in the studio all day, so you don't get winded.
No wonder he still calls me Chris to this day. He heard that name over and over and over and over. And over.
Oh.
Oh my God. I also think it's funny that you're the loud one, Chris. That amuses me. Oh my God. That's hilarious, man. So you had your daughter when you were 28, right?
Yeah, almost 29. Yep.
Okay, so getting ready to turn 29. So that's actually a very similar story to mine. I turned 30, and then a month later, I had my daughter. Now, I didn't have this whole stepson dynamic to navigate where he knew I was banging his mom, but nobody said anything. You know, we just moved on through life like
it's like Fight Club.
Yeah. But meanwhile, he's like going to school on the bus. You're like, oh, hey, man, how's it going? Dude, you don't want to know. This guy's coming around. I hear him in there with my mom. Like, I'm not cool with it. This motherfucker gets in my way, I'm going to drop him. Like, you know, there were conversations that were happening on that bus with his friends about this.
I swear to God, if he starts beating me in Super Smash Bros, I'm going to break him up.
But that's where you just rub salt in the wound. Like, hey, man, I got your mom, and I'm kicking the shit out of you in Mario Kart. You are nothing in this relationship. Just so you know, I am here. You are here.
Everyone in this house is getting pounded one way or another.
Oh my God. Oh man. Oh. So having a kid is really in my opinion, it's a great way to enter your 30s, because for a lot of people, having a kid is that defining moment, right? Where you kind of transition from that, you know, you're an adult, but you're partying, you know, 20s, even into your 30s, you know. But then when you have that kid, the responsibility changes. Now, let's be honest, there are some people where it doesn't change them. But for the most of us, it does, in fact, change us. And for me, like there was a lot of shit that happened in my 30s. A month after I turned 30, I had my daughter. You know, I started getting into performing arts, right? So, you know, I was doing a couple years of comedy. I did a couple of movies, started some podcast stuff. Work changed for me. I helped kind of build out a new department, and then I got laid off at the end of my 30s and had to start a completely different career in a different field. So there were a lot of things that actually happened in my 30s, but a lot of it's a blur. And it's not because I was partying. It's because there was so much going on. It's like I have, an infant, then a baby, then a toddler, then a little child. But on top of that, you know, working crazy hours. On top of that, hobbies at night. On top of that, shooting a movie on the weekend. You know, on top of that, trying to go fishing. You know, on top of that, trying to like keep up relationships with my friends and stuff. And making time for my wife and creating our family dynamic. We bought a house, right? Like we bought a house 3 months before I turned 30. So all of these adult things smacked me in the face like all at once. And even though my body is that of a 55-year-old man, like I was thinking about this the other day in my head, even though I'm 42, even when I was 30, in my head, I still feel like I'm the same person to a degree that I was in my 20s. Now, obviously, positions on things have changed, you know, just understanding the natural world we live in, you know, just things like that obviously change and evolve over time as you get older. But I still feel kind of the same as I did when I was in my 20s. And it's weird to rationalize that. And you guys just turned 30. I'm about to turn 42 this year. So I've got an extra decade on you, but I still feel mostly like I'm the same guy. I'm into the same things. My head still feels the same. I don't feel like I'm 42. I still feel like I'm in my 20s. Do you guys have that feeling, or do you really feel like you are a completely different person just through and through so much that you're like, yeah, I'm totally different?
Chris, why don't do you have an answer to that?
For me, it's weird that you mentioned it, because when you started talking about that, I started thinking about it, and I'm like,
yeah,
I am, for the most part, the same me, but starkly different in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And I don't know. There's parts of me that, like, I keep thinking, like, oh, I'm going to grow out of that. I'm not going to be a Buckeye football lunatic. I'll get over
no, it'll be with you forever.
I keep getting older. They stay the same age. And it's weird when I see these 18, 19-year-olds out there, and I'm investing all of my heart and soul into these kids who I've never met.
Yeah.
And each year that passes by, I keep thinking, like, that's weird. And maybe I'm going to grow out of that. But I never do.
Yep.
I'm still that diehard freak lunatic, and I probably always will be.
No, interesting. So to piggyback on that now, I was also thinking about my dad, right? And the dad that I knew and grew up with is still the same person, but he's also changed a lot, just like, again, on positions and just outlooks on things, and just things like that. You can tell he's changed, right? But then I go back and I think, I'm like, okay, when my dad was in his 30s and I was like, probably like 10, 11, 12. So my dad would probably be mid to late 30s by that time. I'm getting in trouble all the time. I'm getting yelled at and grounded, all that stuff. And I'm just like, I think about that when that was my dad. And when he was that age and I was the child age, did my dad think of himself as the same person he was in his 20s? Or now that my dad is in his 60s, just like me, in his head, when he thinks about himself, does he still think about himself as the younger man, but to all of our points, recognizing the positive changes we've all undergone because we've all grown and evolved over time? Or is he truly like so flipped as a person that he doesn't feel like he's that person anymore? It's hard to articulate into words, so I hope
I get what you're
that
saying.
you guys are getting what I'm saying, because I think about this because he grew up in a time where the technology was just starting. Video games were Pong and Asteroids. There were no PCs. Computers were just in their infancy. Apple II hadn't even come out yet. There were 4 television stations. VCRs weren't even really a thing yet. So I think about where, like, how he grew up and where he was, and did that never leave him in the same regard that it's never left me, even though I have changed as a person? Maybe that's a better way to explain it and then ask the question.
I feel like it kind of goes back to the Avengers Endgame, time passing through somebody versus them going through time. You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like, I guess to answer your question, I feel like I'm more me than I have been ever. Like, just because of getting older. I feel like I was peeling back layers in my 20s to get to where I was. Yeah. And now I'm here. And I'm adaptable. I can still adapt. I'm not stuck. I'm not stuck in my ways. But there are things, but I haven't compromised who I am. That makes sense. That's the way I could describe it. Because, like, before, I was a man who might have been too afraid to hug another man. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up in a kind of in a homophobic area. That's the way it was. I mean,
you grew up in a shit area, man. Just say it.
I tell each, I can tell another guy, like, hey, I love you, man. I appreciate you, because you know what I mean. Because, like, basically, you get to the point where I'm a sentimental person. I cry all the time now. I cry more all the time now. It's just because
I cry more now.
I cry now, and it's okay.
Not gonna deny it.
Like, people act like you can't cry. No, cry all you want. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with masculinity.
Dude, we cried at Top Gun. I
Cried at
watched
Top Gun.
it 2 months ago, and I fucking cried at the end. I was like, "This is so beautiful."
I watched Rocky 1 and 2 back to back.
Yes,
Cried at the end of each
will
one
make
of them.
you cry, man.
Every single time. Yeah, I mean, but it's just like, now you're more secure in who you are. I don't care what people make fun of me if I cry. I don't give a shit.
That's
I'm
a big
good person. I don't care what people think of me. And I go on stage. I lift up my shirt now. I don't care that people see that I'm fat. I don't care. In my 20s, I gave a shit. In 20s, I was so afraid. I was so afraid, like, oh my God, people are gonna know I'm fat. People are gonna fucking know. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? No one's gonna care. Everybody's worried about their weight. They're not worried about your weight. Nobody gives a shit. The only people that worry about other people's weight is either A, you're in a fat man bet where you have to try to beat somebody in weight gains and weight losses.
We should totally make that bet. I'm down.
I've been in a fat man bet before.
I'm down, man.
You basically the whole way to win that is find the person that sucks at it the most and just don't go lower than him. That's what I do. So you gotta do. I've been in many fat man bets before. That's the only time you ever care about anybody else's weight. Hey, how you doing?
Special guest appearance.
Yay!
Go get mommy.
She's like, who are these crazy men?
But you know what? I'm just happy who I am now. More so.
Yeah.
I was used to be in my 20s. I used to be like, oh man, you don't got abs. Oh man, you got more than one chin. Oh man. And now I'm just like, you know what? I'm fucking happy. I'm healthy. I get to go on the road. I get to tell jokes. I get to make people laugh. I get to live a life that maybe less than 1% of the population gets to live.
Just grow a beard and you can hide that second chin. No one will see it.
Nah, I wear it with pride now.
Now, I do have a question too, because all three of us are married. Two of us have children. One of us doesn't. But do you think part of that too is that, like, now that we're married, and I'm not saying we don't have to take care of ourselves or really care, but to your point, Jesse, when you're in your 20s and you're out there partying, you're like meeting different people, you're spending time with people to see who you connect with. And, is this somebody that I see a future with? Is this not? You do care about your appearance. You care about the clothes. You care about your grooming. You care about your weight. You care about your car. You care about your apartment. You care about all this shit. Dude, all three of us are married now. I don't give a fuck, man. All I care about is getting through my workday, relaxing, spending a few minutes with my family, eating, and going to bed, and then waking up and doing it again the next day. Like, that's all I could give a shit how much weight I gain. I don't care about the clothes that I wear. If I walk down the street and someone's like, look at that douchebag with a huge beard and a man bun, I'm like, what's up, buddy? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, this is what I got to work with, and I'm making it work.
Like, I some people, like, you'll see if somebody goes, ugh, look at him. And I'm like, what are we fucking? No.
Right.
Get out of here. I don't give a shit what you think.
I tell my wife it's my 3 F's rule. If you're not feeding me, financing me, or fucking me, then your opinion doesn't matter.
Oh my God.
I love that. I love that. You get that tattooed right here. You get that tattooed right there.
3 F's.
So, Chris,
but also what's really nice.
Hold on. Chris has the 3 F's, right? So what is it? Fucking, financing.
I want to get the 3 F's.
Fucking, financing, or feeding.
Okay, fucking, financing, or feeding. So I have the 3 S's: shit, shower, shave. But clearly I'm not shaving. Just a little trim up. So I like this. We got the 3 F's. We got the 3 S's. Like, I feel like we need to get creative and have like the 3 Q's. There's got to be 3 Q's we can come up with, because no one's going to beat that. Q is the dumbest letter ever.
As long as it's not 3 Ks, we're okay.
Yes. No, sir.
No, the Kardashians have that one.
Yeah.
And ironically, they love black people. It's like the weirdest thing.
Why? Oh my God! Why won't the Kardashians go away? Anyways, I don't want to get on that rant. I want to own in on 30s. So let's, Chris, do you have some funny stories for your transitioning out of 20s into 30s? Like, did something happen where you're just like, God damn, like that was the moment?
I think that it was when I was holding my daughter and I was tickling her and she was laughing, and I went to laugh at the same exact time, and she literally vomited in my mouth.
Yep, there you go, man.
Time, I was like, I am both at my highest and lowest points at the exact same time. This is growing up.
Yep, I agree. Now I have a follow-up question. When the vomit entered your mouth, did you finish what you were doing and then eventually go clean up? Or did you freak out and have to clean up immediately? This is an important question.
I freaked out. I
Okay, you freaked out.
Put her down. I didn't drop her the way that I just demonstrated I did.
You didn't spike her like a football, like, fuck, I gotta go clean up.
Kathy, go long. She puked.
Right, kid's just kid. I gotta go clean up.
Yeah, I just remember it being much. She had just drank formula. So if you ever wonder what formula tastes like with a little bit of human bile in it,
There you go.
Pretty sweet. Tastes like Cheerio milk. Or,
so we're gonna scare the shit out of Jesse with early 30s kid stories here.
Right.
He'll might never want to have the kid. There was similar issue, but I got liquid diarrhea all over my hand. It was the up the back, all over the table, everything. And dude, wiped that up, kept right on going till it was done. Casually walked to the bathroom, washed it off. A couple years later, my daughter's potty training. And again, anyone who's had a kid knows what it's like potty training. You got the training pants on. So she's like, Dad, I got to go to the bathroom. It's like, all right, let's go. So we run to the bathroom, take pants down. And then all of a sudden, all these little turd nuggets just kind of fell out. And they kind of glistened in the bathroom light. And without even thinking about it, I was like fucking Spider-Man. I was like, caught all those turds before they hit the ground, barehanded. Didn't even think anything of it. Once I realized I was holding a handful of shit, I was just like, put it in the toilet, walked over, washed my hands, good to go. It's like you just reach that moment where that stuff that you would normally freak out about, we still kind of freak out about, it almost becomes normal. And I'm just like, what happened to my life? 3 years ago, I was partying it up. Now I'm catching bear shit in my hands. Like, how did this happen? And what in my head was like, John, this is a good idea. You should stop partying and you should like settle down and have a family and a kid and a mortgage and a job and credit. And it's just like weird how all of those things can hit you all at once. And at the time, you might be scared because you don't know what it's going to look like. You might be really excited. You might not be excited. There's plenty. We see him on Maury Povich all the time. Those dudes are not happy about it. But I was, because I think all along, no matter how much time or how much fun I was having when I was single, it was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to have a family, even though I told everybody I didn't, blah, 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 but I did. And when it finally happened, it was weird because it was like, and I thought about this, like my daughter was being born. I had a front row seat. I was right there. And as she was being born, I was just like, wow, this is it. Like it just really, really hit me. And they pulled her out. And it's weird when you have a kid because it's not like Hollywood. First of all, the kid's like purple, and you're like, whoa, not expecting that. And then the umbilical cord does not look like Hollywood umbilical cord, and you're just like, not expecting that. Like, but it's you're watching these things and you're freaked out, but in your head, you're just like, nothing is ever going to be the same. And you can be the same person, but you're not the same person because now you are no longer taking care of yourself. You're responsible for a living, breathing human being that cannot take care of themselves. And if you don't take care of them, the kid's going to die and then you're probably going to go to jail. So it's just weird that like in that instant, you go from one stage of your life to another stage of your life. And I'm glad that happened when I turned 30. Because it helped define kind of my decades, right? And it was like, okay, now I'm entering this real adulthood right at 30. And it was nice to start it there. Would I have started earlier if I could have? Sure. But it allowed me to kind of transition better. And I know some people started way earlier. Some people might start much, much later. But for me, that was the sweet spot. And that's why turning 30 was just so... like it was just a huge milestone in my life because all of these things that usually happen at different parts in people's lives literally happened all at once within like a 1.5 year period to me. It went from this over here to all of this, but that helped me because then it's like, okay, you've now transitioned to this. These are your responsibilities. This is what you're waking up for every morning. These are your priorities. It's no longer this, it's this. And that really helped me transition in my 30s. What about you guys?
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, what you're at. So basically, just to make sure I understand the call of the question, you're asking that what moment helped me transition, like make the jump.
Yeah, like if you had to define a moment where you could say it was a literal example of transition for me, what would that be for you, Jesse? And then we'll hear from Chris.
I would say getting engaged to my wife.
Yeah.
Yes, because I had to make a lot of bold moves, especially because it was a time where we had people that were fans of the engagement, and we had people that weren't fans of the engagement.
Yep.
And
Wait, what did you say?
What? My wife said it's rocky as fuck.
I mean, it truly is. Like the shit you guys went through is like, we could talk about that on a whole nother episode. Like it's really like you can't write shit better than Jesse and Sarah's life. I shit you not. Like,
yeah,
you could write that shit into a screenplay.
I've really thought about it, and the screenplay would be called The Movie I Make When They're All Dead.
And you're the last one.
That's like this would be a grand example of what Connor McLeod does after he becomes the Highlander.
Oh man, bringing Highlander into this conversation.
He goes like, "There can only be one," and then he's turning in the script. It's like,
well, there's more than one, but yeah, there can only be one.
Yeah, there can only be one. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, no, I just like because it was a moment where it was nut up or shut up. It was this is now you are no longer thinking for yourself. Like for the first time, because like I'm not saying that you're selfish when you're in a relationship, but everything is easy when everything is great when everything is easy. When things are rough and you get that adversity you really have to like stand up and be like, all right, no, this is what I want. I don't care what the price is on me. I got to make the decisions. And it's scary because you don't get, no one throws you a map and tells you how to navigate it. All right. And then you navigate it. And it's only years later when you go, okay, I actually did do the right thing.
Yeah.
But in the middle of all, you don't feel like you're doing the right thing. You don't feel
No. You're just like, I think I'm fucking up left and right. And then somebody tells you, no, you're doing good. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I'll tell this story. I haven't told this story ever, and I'll still leave the person's name.
And this is your last story, so we can hear from Chris. He's
ready
to say something.
Sorry, I became very storytelling tonight, and I apologize.
Okay. You just got off work. It's fine.
Anyway, so there was a person that I hadn't talked to in months after I got engaged to Sarah, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk to them finally. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to be the person that breaks the silence. That's who I am. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break the silence. All right. Okay. So it's been 7 months. Pick up the phone. I call the person and they answer and we have small talk. And I'm like, I'm really sorry that we haven't talked in so long. I know with everything that's happened with us. And then they literally go, oh, you could have called me anytime. Everything was fine. At that moment, I wanted to throw my phone out the window like a burner.
Right.
I was like, I was to throw it out the window like, fuck it. Fuck it. Here's to another 9 months. I don't give a shit.
Here's another 9 months. I don't care.
I was literally about to throw my shitty smartphone out the window. Not even hit the hang up.
It's all right. It's freaking. I'll go get a new one.
Like, I don't give a shit. I was about to break it like Gus Fring from Breaking Bad when he calls somebody from the cartel.
Done.
Yeah, but like that cracked me up. I was like, but like I said, it's moments. Getting through that crucible allowed me to be able to feel like, fuck it, I'll throw my phone, rather than, oh my god, like I mean, getting through crucible, it forges you into something.
Yeah,
that's all I was gonna say.
I agree. I totally agree. Chris, let's hear from you, man.
Yeah, so kind of back to what you were saying, how having the baby and having something else to care about when you can hardly take care of yourself.
Right.
I think for me, it was the realization that hardly can take care of myself didn't cut it anymore. Mm-hmm. And I had to start taking care of myself, not just physically, mentally, but financially, and with the house and with the mortgage and those responsibilities. I think that's when you experience all those things sort of at the same time, it really was sort of you taking care of yourself, your family, and all of those things. And I think for me, that's really how I've felt that I've grown up, is that I stopped all the time thinking about what now me wants, and thinks like, well, what about 15 years down the road me? Maybe zigging instead of zagging is going to put later me in a better spot, even if the alternative puts me in a better spot now.
Absolutely. Well, look, this is what 12 years in the future for you looks like, Chris. So soak it in, because this is going to be you in a decade.
God, I hope I have a man bun.
Dude, just throw it out, man. Just do it. Just do it. Just grow it out, man. And look, I mean, I'm balding and I can still pull it off. So just got to let it go, man. Work from home. I would never have been able to do this if it wasn't for work from home. So that helped a little bit.
See, I still have to go in half the days. So.
And you work in the medical field, so you kind of have to, keep up a certain degree of appearance, which I definitely understand.
Very low degree of appearance, as you can tell.
Jesse does too, because he's in front of people. Mr. General Manager. So, he's got to talk to clients and police officers and all types of crazy shit. So
all types of crazies.
But again, that's another thing too, is your job. Like I did, I worked at like Toys R Us in high school and the pizza shop. And, then after high school, I upgraded, got sales jobs, right? I worked at Circuit City, worked at Sprint. But then in my mid-20s, I'm like, I need to move this forward a little bit. So then I got an office job, right? And kind of started that. And then I became a supervisor. And I was like, okay, so I've transitioned the career a little bit to where I've got a little more stability. I have something I can be proud of. So then that led to then the next stage. Okay, now where do I go from here? So those buildups do happen, and you start to take care of yourself more and think about those things. But Jesse, I cannot stress to you enough, having the kid is really like, and I know you've transitioned, you've talked about it, but like just when you have that kid and you watch that kid being born, and there's so many thoughts and emotions going through your head, but they all come down to one thing, is that you are now responsible for this child for the rest of your life. Even when that child's an adult, you are still responsible for that child to a degree. So that really changes you. And I think that's a big one for people, not for everybody, but for a lot of people, that's a big one. But then we also talked about careers and houses and, things of that nature. But I think having a kid right around your 30s, again, is just, that is a hard stop transition, because like I said, there's no going back. Okay. Some dads try to dip out and go back, but for the decent humans out there, once you have a child, man, you can't go back. It's only forward. You cannot go backwards.
You just go to Amazon, you get one of those Prince of Egypt baskets, you find a firehouse, put the baby there.
I can't do this anymore.
I wonder if Amazon, it's like some basket weaver's like, I hope people are liking my baskets. And it's like, nope, we're just abandoning kids.
But I will say, just on a serious note, I think those are amazing. I wish more people would use them. I wish they were more available, because it is a great, safe option. Even though we're totally joking, which is fine. I just want to say I really do support that. I think more of them should be out there, and people should definitely use them. They are a great help. So that's
baskets?
my 2 cents. No drop-off stations at the firehouse, man. Keep up with the fucking conversation. What are you doing?
I was like,
I was trying to be serious for a moment, and you.
I love baskets too, John. But
right. Too bad Lawnenberger is not around anymore. Because if I'm going to donate my kid's going to get donated classy. I'm going to get a $5 basket, man.
Dude, I feel pretty proud about certain products. I thought you love baskets.
I love them.
I just thought I learned something new about you. I was like, oh shit, John loves baskets.
I mean, I've been known to have a basket or two around,
I was like, and at first I was just like, okay, yeah, they should put kids in baskets.
I was just trying to have a serious moment, but it's cool. So, but yeah, put them kids in a Lawnenberger basket. Then they'll know it's serious about the donation. Who donates a $500 basket plus a child? Do you want your basket back? No, you keep it.
Made in Ohio, Longenberger.
Made in Ohio, right? You can go visit the abandoned corporate office. It's fun to go walk around on the outside.
What happened to your basket company? We just make these for like Easter baskets, but people keep getting rid of their kids.
Well, dude, the business was insanely profitable. Like their P&L was positive. It was beautiful. And then the guy handed it down to his kids and they fucking ruined the whole company. It's actually really sad. Like that company was just, they had it right, man. And those kids just fucking ruined it in like less than 10 years, drove it completely into the ground.
So,
it's really sad, actually.
So let it be known that CEO should have put each one of those kids in a basket and went to a firehouse.
Yeah, that's why you don't have to donate your business to your kids. You're allowed to appoint a different CEO. Like, you don't have to give it to them if they can't. It's like Billy Madison. He wasn't going to hand over the hotels to Billy wearing Frank's shirt. You know, like, come on, man. But he earned it at the end. But he still gave it to Crazy Carl because he wanted to be a teacher. He knew that he wasn't the best person to run the company. I wish that didn't happen for Longenberger. Anyways, that's enough for the Longenberger basket business rant. So, Chris, did you have any preconceived notions of your 30s? Like, oh man, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. And then you turn 30 and like none of that happened, or did all of that happen for you?
So I always had a goal of I was going to make X amount per year before I was 30.
Yeah.
And I got that raise when I was 29. So for me, I was like, hey, I'm a year ahead of schedule. All
there
right.
You go, man. There you go.
That's it.
But that was the only real goal or notion I ever had in mind, was that I think your 30s are when you're supposed to be able to like be stable.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point.
I got to that at 29. And I think that's sort of why I maybe associate more of that epiphany type moment with my 29 year versus my 30 year, because I had the daughter right before that. I got, met my goals financially at that point. Yep. I mean, obviously small goals, not lifetime goals. I'm not crazy.
Base camp. Okay.
I didn't win the lottery or anything yet. But, I think that sort of did it for me. And so I never had that like, aha, I'm 30 moment.
Yeah.
I already felt like I was there.
Get what you're saying. So this is another interesting question. So did you think that when you maybe not necessarily, I'm just saying turning 30 because that's the theme of the show, but it could really be 35, 40, et cetera, but as you progress forward through time's arrow, did you think that you had to stop doing certain things and start doing other things, and more specifically clothing? And the reason I ask is because I thought that when I get older, I've got to start wearing tucked in polos with a belt and regular pants and all white New Balance tennis shoes. Tube socks pulled up, short shorts, because I was born in 81. So all the adults around me when I was growing up and I was looking at people in their 30s and their 40s, that's all they were wearing at the time. So I'm like, oh, this is what I have to do. But fuck that. I didn't do that. I still wear cargo shorts. I wear low-cut socks with Adidas shoes. I wear fucking G.I. Joe hoodies. Like, I do not give a shit. I am not dressing that way. But then sometimes I do, depending on the occasion. But was there anything like crazy like that you thought, like, man, I now have to stop doing this and I have to start doing this, no matter how ridiculous it might sound?
That's a good question. I think that I thought that I needed to stop with the shoes. And I did, because I used to be a shoe guy.
Oh, okay. You were a sneakerhead. Okay.
I was. I used to have 7, 8, 9, 10 pairs of shoes. And now I have a dress pair, a work pair, and a tennis shoe pair. Yep. And a pair of flip-flops. So
yeah, 4. I was gonna say maybe sandals, and then maybe a house shoe or a slipper, maybe for like the winter or something. Yep.
But that's what my dad did. My dad was the exact same way. And
same here.
And so for me, I associated growing up with like, all right, having a bunch of shoe options is a kid's game. Grow up,
You're right. Grow up with the same pair of shoes like a man.
Yeah. Then make sure that they're grit so they go with everything.
Yeah, that's the key. And I love that's how I buy shoes now. I'm like, oh, those shoes are dope, but I can only wear them with this. Oh, there's the universal pair. We're gonna get those. Like,
all grays, baby.
there it is,
All
man. You got
grays.
it. Yep. But like I've got like my moccasin like house shoes for the winter. I don't wear these in the summer because I walk around barefoot, but for the winter, these are great. And when I go over to people's house, like I have a rule. Maybe this is something I picked up as I've aged through 30s and 40s is when I go to somebody's house, first of all, I don't wear sandals because I always take my shoes off at people's houses. And look, I'm not going to be that guy that walks around barefoot in somebody else's house. Like I've got caveman feet. No one wants to see that shit. And I don't want people to see it. But
somebody on the internet wants to see those, John.
I'm sure. And like even though dudes don't really make foot fetish money, I'm sure my calloused, like weird looking nail feet would get some guys rocks off who might want to pay me $50, $100 a month. Maybe I should start doing that. But, so I always wear socks and shoes, and I'll bring these with me and put them on because they're nice and clean. They never go outside. And then that way I'm not messing up someone's house, but they don't have to look at my gross feet either,
Yeah.
It's another thing that I picked up. I care about other people in that regard. Like, I don't want to fuck up somebody else's house. Man, when I was 25, I did not give a shit. It was like Chappelle and fucking Rick James fucking up Eddie Murphy's couch. He did not give a shit. I'm not saying I intentionally did it, but I didn't care if I wore, sorry, man, I'll help you clean it up. Now I'm like, whoa, I'm not even walking in. Let me take these off, So it's like, I think that's something else that kind of evolved with me too, is that I realize how hard you have to work for the things that you have. And because I now realize that when I'm in situations that deal with other people and their things, I care a lot about not fucking up their things because I wouldn't want someone to come to my house and fuck my shit up. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we've all had that epiphany where we're like, curtains are $80?
You're right, man. But don't forget the $100 curtain rod to go with it.
Yeah, it's like you just have no idea, no appreciation, and then when it's like, hey, time for me to buy the curtains, it's like, Jesus, I didn't know that the Gushers were the expensive brand. I wouldn't have eaten all 8 packs as soon as my mom bought them home.
Dude, exactly. That's it too. The comprehension of, and my dad would always say this, like, I'd be like, I want this new, transformer. John, do you know how many hours I have to work to afford that transformer? And I'm like, well, it's like $9.99. So like, I don't know, half hour. I mean, I don't know how much my dad made when I was 8, right? But it's like, now I totally get it. It's like, dude, I had to work all day for those curtain rods. You better not fuck that shit up. Like, the shit that I had to shovel to afford those. Like, but that's the kind of stuff that you don't necessarily think about when you're partying, but you do think about it when you're like established and it's your shit. And then you don't want to fuck other people. Well, you might want to fuck somebody's shit up, but for the most part, if you like the person, you don't.
Yeah. No, I like, and like sometimes I will, like you mentioned, help clean up. Like I'll do that. Like we'll all be sitting around watching TV and eating dinner. Like we'll eat food. Like, oh, come over here, let's get pizza. Let's watch this movie. Oh, this is great. I'll start picking up people's plates and start taking them to the kitchen.
Yeah,
it's not my place. It's not like I feel like I should. Sure, they should be doing that for you.
Yes, because when you have people over, there's going to at least be one person in that group that's going to do that at your house. They're going to help you take out your trash. They're going to rinse dishes off. They're going to put shit back. And then you're like, oh my God, I have to do this now because this is where I'm at in life. So then you start doing that at other people's houses because you appreciate it when they do it for you. So you just want to play it forward, But it's like, when I was 22, I didn't fucking think about that. I'm like, I don't give a shit about your curtains, man. Like, we're here, Like,
yeah. No.
So I just think that some of those things are. It's just interesting how perspective and priority changes, and it's not that you're intentionally not focusing on that stuff, but it's not your world because you're not in that. But once you're in that, you start to realize that okay, this is kind of how it is. And it's almost like when you grow up, it feels like it takes forever in life to go from conscious memory to, let's say, 18 years old, right? You graduate high school, maybe you move out, college, military, whatever. But that's only 18 years, man. You live to like 80 to 100. That's like nothing, man. And so once you realize that that was just such a small part of your life, and that the larger part of your life is this stuff we're talking about, it's crazy how your perspective changes, and you realize is, okay, this stuff is the majority of my life. Not when I was 12 years old playing Pokemon thinking I was a badass. That was not everything in life. This is because I've got 60 some years of this, whereas I only had like 18 years of this, you know. Maybe a bad example because plenty of grown adults play Pokemon, and that's totally okay. But hopefully you guys get what I'm saying, right? Like, you get my point, is that just how those priorities change. And I really do think that the dirty 30 is where that really starts to kick in for the vast majority of people. Of course, there's outliers, but for me, that all that stuff really started to change at 30 because I had no choice. Everything had already changed. So it was like, you either do this or you fail. There's no other option. So I just find it interesting how we navigate or get ourselves in those scenarios, but how we realize that this is the bulk of life, not this. And it takes a while to be able to rationalize and understand that.
Well, I think it takes a while for us to fully understand the passage of time. Those first
Yes.
18 years feel like they're so fast. I mean, or so slow. I mean,
Oh yeah.
In that moment, it's like, oh my God, high school's taking forever. Third grade is the worst. Like,
Yep.
you know, whatever. It's like those moments when you were under 18 dragged out endlessly.
Agreed.
And now I blink and I'm like, oh my God, I graduated college already almost 10 years ago. I graduated high school almost 15 years ago. What happened?
Yes, I agree. It's already March. Didn't fucking Christmas just happen? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Time just accelerates.
yeah, it really truly does. And I think part of that is because we start to compartmentalize our lives and our priorities and our responsibilities. And it's always like, you know, you get paid every 2 weeks, and then you got these bills that you pay on this paycheck, and you got these bills you pay on this paycheck. You've got this event scheduled, you know, with your family. You've got this event scheduled with your kid. You've got, you know, taxes coming up here. You got, you know, a work meeting coming up here. And it's just like everything is just become so much more structured and planned that you're just going from like one event to the next. And when you're doing that, time just flies by because you're just going from one thing to the next. And from my daughter being born to where she's going to be 12 in October, I mean, I remember everything about those 10 years from 30 to 40 when she was, you know, 0 to 10. I didn't forget anything, but at the same time, I kind of did because it's just such a blur because time went so fast. And I know that I can never go backwards. And while I love watching my daughter transition from that, you know, child stage to that preteen to that teenage stage, which she's in now, sometimes I'm just like, man, why can't I have my 4-year-old back who loved horses? You know, like,
yeah.
I want my 4-year-old back. Now I've got a mouthy approaching 12-year-old who cares more about hanging out with her friends and texting than she does hanging out with good old dad. But, you know, we still spend a ton of time together. But, you know, I just never understood that when people talked about that. You know, oh, you're going to wish this and that. I'm like, I'm into this. But then I'm like, you know, now that I'm 40, I'm like, it'd be fun to go back again. But, you know, it's just hard to rationalize those things as time progresses because you can't go back. You just have to keep moving forward. And the biggest thing is to not forget or lose sight of what you're doing when it's often really difficult. So I don't know, it's one of those strange things in life. You try to rationalize it. You think you got a grip on it, but then you don't. But then you do. But then you don't. And it's just like it never stops. You're always going.
Yeah. Now it's why I try to live the moment and enjoy every moment.
Yep.
Of it. So at least I can think back. I may not remember every detail about a moment, but I can remember how I felt in that moment.
Yes.
I was happy.
Absolutely.
And I think when you could set an emotion to a memory, I think it makes that memory even sweeter.
I agree 100%. Chris, what do you think? These will be our final thoughts as we wrap up. Very similar to the Jerry Springer final thoughts. So, Chris, you got to lay this knowledge on us. I want somebody watching to be like, holy shit, I learned something from Chris Skaggs today.
All right. Well, no pressure. I'm not a very good teacher. But I think I would just say, at least in my personal experience, when you were younger, things were new.
Okay.
I could agree with that. I had to think about it for a second.
Yeah. No, it was profound. You had nothing, and then you dropped that very profound quote on us. You're like, whoa, shit.
You know I'm going to be thinking about this now, and it's going to drive me nuts. Like, it'll be like 3 a.m. I'll be like, fuck you, Chris Skaggs, I can't sleep now. Yeah. Oh, is he frozen?
I think he is.
Did we lose him?
I'm trying to get him back.
Oh, there he is. Hey, he's back.
Hey,
we got you back.
All right. How much of that did you hear? That was a long rant that I'm sure nobody heard.
Okay, so I thought.
Oh my God, no way.
So now, Chris, you have completely fucked everything up.
Oh my God.
Jesse and I thought that your whole epiphany was just you. And then you paused. And so I was like trying to rationalize what you meant by that. And I'm like, okay, I think I get what you're saying, but now I'm going to think about this and it's going to drive me nuts. And it's going to be like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be like, fuck you, Chris Skaggs. Why do you put that shit in my head? But now I know that it wasn't even real and that you said something completely different.
So what did you think my epiphany was?
Just that you were like, it was just you. And then that was it.
We were discussing what you meant. We're like, wow, that is profound.
Yes, because we're trying. I'm like,
God.
What does he mean by that? Oh my God. And then now, like, not even at all what you meant.
Oh, no.
Do you want to repeat your awesome advice one more time before we wrap up tonight? And hopefully you don't freeze.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So basically, I was just saying, if you want to keep life fresh, keep life new. Find new ways to keep doing new things in your life, even at 30, 40, 50, because that's how you get those memories that are going to stick with you and make you feel alive like you did when you were a kid.
That's excellent, because I didn't even start venturing into performing arts until well into my 30s. So that's an absolute factual statement. You're never too old to try something new or do something or follow your dreams or anything like that. So that's actually really solid, man. And I think that is something that everybody should be able to relate to and understand, you know.
And also, ew.
Also, ew.
I was like, oh man, this man is a genius. Like, I'm gonna put this together tonight. I'm gonna text him tomorrow and be like, bro, I got this figured out. And then you're like, yeah, it's not what I said.
I'm getting a 3F tattoo. You're getting an ew tattoo.
Yes, there it is. I love it. Ew, right across the left titty, right up here, man.
Right there. Ew.
Yep, there
dude,
it is.
Dude, me and him were thinking about it. We were like, whoa.
We were.
Like it was just like, we were just like, what does he mean?
I can't wait to rewatch this and see that.
I was going to say, just rewatch it.
Away.
Just rewatch it and see how perfect it was with what you said. And then when you froze out, and then how Jesse and I literally both locked into this like crazy deep thought about, wow, Chris is a genius. I can't wait to connect these dots. And then it's like, no, that's not what I said.
We were like thinking like maybe a rocker told him this when he was at the radio station. Like
Steven Tyler pulls Chris Skaggs aside. He's like, let me give you some life, kid. You know?
And with that note,
wrap it up
right here. I want to thank everybody for watching at the Grown Up Table tonight. I want to thank Chris Skaggs for joining us. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Always. Thank Nigel. I want to thank Tom for tuning in the comment sections and lighting it up. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We want to thank everybody who was tuning in and watching it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe our YouTube page. Make sure you go to Facebook, We're live on Facebook every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then the show is on YouTube the next day on a Thursday morning. So tune in, enjoy, like and subscribe, share this with all your friends. And until next time, I'm Jesse.
I'm John.
And you've been sitting at the grown-ups table. Thank you and have an awesome day, everybody.
That's
Take
Chris.
care.
He'll be back soon.
Chris, we love Chris.
I promise we won't do a year gap. He'll be back soon.
He will be back soon, everybody. He
See,
will.
That's another example how time flies, right? There we go.